Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's that time for us to get right into the business side of things on Business Hub on the Drive. And today we're going to be talking about real estate 9 to 5 or going solo. And to have this discussion with us today, where we have Rotus, who always joins us on Business Hub. Rotus, good evening to you.
Good evening, Ayo. Good evening, Sope. Good evening to all our listeners and our special guests this afternoon.
That's right. Special guest is Sandra Anthony. She's a realtor, and she's going to be walking us through this conversation this wonderful Tuesday evening. Very good evening to you, Sandra.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right, let's get right into it. So we're in April 2022. We're almost at the midway point of the month. And how has the real estate market in Lagos fared so far this year and stretching back to 2021?
I'm sure you meant in 2023. Not 2020.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, 2023
about
is
that.
where we're going here. Yes, future.
Apologies. I don't know why I'm thinking back to the past.
Yeah, so anyways, I'm Sandra Anthony from Realty. The real estate climate, talking about 2022 to 2023, judging from the last quarter, the January to March, it's been very, very, very slow. Reasons because of the just concluded election. Before the election, people were scared. Were scared to invest their money because of the scare, the challenges that they think will come after the whole election. So basically, we wish that after this just concluded election, that the real estate market will pick up once again. So.
Okay, so if you want to get into the real estate business, what are the advantages of working for an established real estate firm?
Okay, one of the advantages I will talk about is job security. Everybody would love to be in a firm where they are being paid. And I wouldn't even want to go into the various developing training this established real estate firm. I've developed for this intense employees. They tend to train them to boost their knowledge on real estate, their ambition, to nurture their ambition in real estate business. And for me, this is the win-win because you're learning and at the same time you're being paid in an established real estate firm. So this just broaden your view on real estate, and that's it.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Sandra, because lately I've met a number of people who have come across as, oh, I'm into real estate, I sell land, this and that, property, and so on and so forth. It just seems like a whole lot of people now are into real estate. But how do we know those who actually know the business? How do we tell that, okay, this person who says he or she is into real estate actually knows what he or she is doing?
Okay, first of all, as a client or a prospect, you tend to ask whoever you want to do business with their ability to answer this question, because I'm sure you would have your concern if you want to invest your money in any real estate products you want to. So the ability for this person to answer your question is number one. The person's experience. Realtors, we have experiences, many of them, the good, the bad. They tend to tell you this experience. And when you're working with them, the way they regulate, the way they work will just give you those giveaway answers without even trying to ask questions.
So what about, go ahead, Sope.
No, I was going to say, so obviously this is us talking about real estate, 9 to 5 versus going solo, right? So I'm interested to kind of see the other side of the coin when it comes to being in real estate, the side that doesn't feature people who just woke up and said they're into real estate. So, pardon? Okay, all right. So Rotus, you wanted to say?
Yeah, so that I'm actually in line with what you're saying, Sope. So basically, Sandra, what about so I'm going back to the corporate side. What about the disadvantages of working in a corporate real estate firm? Is it all good? Surely there's got to be some drawbacks of working in a corporate real estate firm.
Basically, I don't see any disadvantages in working in any real estate firm, except when you're not free to give in your own ideas. Sometimes, yes, this real estate firm, they tend to take your ideas, but the only thing I know that might be not really a big problem, because you have a process, a procedure. You're working with a firm which has their already laid down process. So you just have to follow suit with whatever they have in the platform. So you don't have this, you have unlimited latitude to bring in your own personal situation when it comes to decision making, because most of this company are bent on results, and you just have to give in your results without bringing in your own decisions. You just have to follow the already laid down process, rules and regulations of the company. I think that's the only thing. Aside that, everything is good, because they are training, you're getting the best of the best, because they want the good for you, because it would affect the company.
But okay, like there are some real estate firms I've seen who have a very clear definition of what it is that, or what kind of properties they want to deal with, what kind of properties they want to rent, they want to sell, they want to be a part of that project. But what if, let's say, you're someone who works in that company? Yes, you've had the training, but you see something and you're like, there is money in here. This is a great opportunity, but it doesn't fit the company's image. What then?
That's a good question, because at that point, I think that's when God is telling you to start working for yourself. Because because that is the restriction I was talking about. If you're working for a company, you have to follow suit. You can't work with other real estate firms. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Sope. There's no way you can work with other real estate firms. So you're limited to the real estate product options you have to yourself. Sometimes you might meet a client and the client wants something else. Just because you're working with a real estate company, you can only present whatever you have working in that company. You can only present that. And sometimes when you go out to sell other products, there are some consequences that are attached to such actions. I don't know if you understand, except now, if you want to work for yourself, then you start working towards your own brand, your own knowledge and stuff like that. Let me know if I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Now, Sandra, speaking about, working on your own brand, working for yourself, what would you need to do? Let's say you can't, get a job in, the corporate space. What will you need to do? What certifications will you need to have? What knowledge will you need to get in order for you to start on that path and begin your own journey?
Okay, basically, thank God we are in a digital world right now. Information are just all over, sitting line all over the internet. First of all, if you want to go into anything in life, you should gain basic knowledge about that stuff. So they have real estate schools to start with. You can enroll into one. They have webinars, they have developing groups. Like I said, the established real estate companies, they give those free webinars, free development trainings, and they'll be glad to just see you join this group, because real estate is all about numbers basically. And when you show interest, they'll be glad to welcome you anytime. So these are the little things without even paying for them, because most times people that want to start off don't have this money to go big into real estate, right? So this is just like a basic platform you can start with. By the time you start acquiring this knowledge, I'm sure you'll be motivated to take the next step, and you'll see other motivators around you. Like when you go for training, you see other people like you that want to do the same thing that you want to do, and you guys can put your head together and start something up from there.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
All right, great
Okay,
stuff. Great stuff.
Surely there are, and actually, Ayo and Shokwa, are we close to a break, or are we?
Yeah, we actually are close to a break, but I guess you have some thoughts on what Sandra just said right now, right?
Yeah, so yeah, maybe I'll pause on my question. But yeah, no, I think because my next question for her is on skill acquisition, right? And I guess
Okay.
networking. But just I guess to me, I'll use this to just dive into the break. To follow up on that point. You can start this thing. I think the main thing there is the internet, right? And the fact that there is knowledge everywhere. You just have to plug into it and apply yourself, right? Regardless of whatever it is. So for a lot of people that have been asking me about, how do I get into this? How do I get into that? We've got somebody who is in a field here telling you that, listen, hop in there, dedicate the time and the desire to learn. I could want to start a restaurant tomorrow, and no one's tried my cooking, but I can learn the material, and then you guys will be the judge of whether how good I am or not. But you can pick up this stuff. You can pick up these skills. The internet has changed the game, right? In terms of just laying out what it is that there is to learn. So I think that's very pertinent information in terms of letting people know what they need in order to get started.
That's right, Rotus. All right, let's take that break, and on the other side, we'll continue the conversations with Sandra.
Okay.
Do stick around. It is a business hub on Smooth 98.1.
Interest benefits, margin financial bonus. Our project finance, all business, individual savings products, and electronic banking solutions are carefully tailored to provide you with superior banking experience delivered in most ethical and responsible manner. As Lotus Bank, it is partnership for progress. We share your risks and profits, making it a must-win for all. Open a Lotus Bank accounts today, or use any cashless platform, ATM, mobile banking, or internet banking to enjoy seamless transactions. Contact our 24/7
I think it was in August.
which is 07,056.
All right, we'll be back in 12 seconds.
Smooth 98.1, and we're on to the second half of Business Hub, brought to you by Lotus Bank. And we still have with us Rotus and Sandra Anthony. She's a realtor, and we're talking about real estate 9 to 5, or focus on that.
All right, so Sandra, I love that we have you here. So going solo, I'm always very interested in that because Nigeria, nation of serial entrepreneurs. Now, what exactly are the advantages and disadvantages of striking out on your own when it comes to the real estate space?
The advantages of striking out on your own is just that you're unlimited to the number of real estate options you have, because you're free to work with an established real estate firm. You're free to sell anything you want to sell, unlike people working or unlike realtors working in a 9-to-5 corporate firm. They are only limited to whatever that company is selling. And this would enhance your sale if you know exactly what you're doing. If you are very open, like you can use your social media platform to get more clients without even no consequence at all. And what else would I say, just to add to that, would be you have this unlimited latitude to just enhance, build. You can do whatever you like in terms of getting more clients and in sales too. Yeah.
Hold on one second, Sandra. You said something about social media and no consequences. I think that got me a little confused. Can you explain?
Okay, in corporate firm, you don't handle their social media. You can't they have their own representation to the outside world. But with you, you can be creative with your own. You can come in with your style. I don't know if you understand. Yeah, you can come in with your style, what you want to do, how you want to do it. Then that's all I'm saying about that. Like, that's what I mean by saying.
For some reason, I've been when it comes to disadvantages and the bad side, that ends up being my question. But the last question I asked was disadvantages of corporates, working in a corporate side. So Sandra, what are the disadvantages of being on your own? I mean, you know,
Okay, the disadvantages, my goodness. I wouldn't say that outweighs the advantages, but disadvantages, one of it would be lack of motivation because of the kind of community, the environment you're in Nigeria. It's hard, it's quite striving to be into real estate and not making any sales and not seeing your ambition, your career, your dream come to life. And that can be discouraging. And when your support group are not supporting you enough, you tend to lose your long-term ambition, your dreams, because this real estate in Lagos, Nigeria, is very, very hard. So you have to have all the motivation you need, number one. And secondly, when it comes to financial assistance, most of real estate is financially, it's big on financial support rather, sorry. It's big on financial support. When you don't get this, it tends to weaken how far you can go in the business, because in real estate, you need the navigation, you need people to work for you. Even though you want to go solo, you can't do it all by yourself. And all of this are part of the disadvantages of working solo. So in order to be good in that aspect, you have to find your way around that. You have to find partners, you have to find people that are good in the aspects you're not good in. So you have a very solidified system. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so Sandra, a personal question here, because there was the degree of your sigh and your wonder when it came to answering that question about the disadvantages of going solo. I feel like you have some stories to tell.
Oh my goodness.
Not very
yes,
personal.
I do. They're quite confounding. I don't know the one to start with, but I tell you the truth, that it's very, very challenging, because if you're working for a corporate firm, like I said earlier, you have this job security. At the end of the month, you know, you're having this amount paid in your account, right? But when you're working solo, you have to do everything all by yourself. When there's no money in that account, you have to survive. When there's money in the account, you have to survive. So your self-motivation, and that is the part that people miss, because if you don't motivate yourself, nobody motivates you. And if you don't motivate yourself, you can't do something in real estate. So
all right, Sandra.
Classic case of charity begins at home.
So this is a really interesting conversation, and you can be a part of it. All you need to do is send your WhatsApp messages to 0809 444 981. You can also use the hashtag BusinessHub981 on Twitter. And we have this message in on WhatsApp from Oluwaseun Ajibade, who says, the number of people in real estate now, you will think land is growing in Lagos.
Everybody's a real estate agent in Lagos now. Goodness gracious. Speaking of real estate agents, now, Sandra, I have a number of friends, of acquaintances. We use friends quite a lot these days. A number of people I know who are into, the real estate space. So, and a number of them are actually women. So the question I want to ask you is this: is the real estate space actually being dominated by women, or are the men also, doing really well for themselves as well?
Okay, I would just answer this question, because when you're looking at it, you think real estate is highly dominated by men, because most people see real estate as, okay, this is a man job because of the way it's structured, right? But thank God, we would give thanks to God for giving women this ability to work in sales. They are quite enduring in sales business. I think that's where people miss it. So there's no domination when it comes to real estate, because male or men, they have a role they play in the real estate business, and the females, they have the role they play in the real estate business. And most of these established real estate firms are basically and largely owned by husband and wives. So you can't really, yes. Sometimes it starts with the woman, and the men like tend to love what this woman is doing, and he gives in his advice, and it starts something great. It starts with the man. The man tends to work hard in developing, and the woman comes in and makes it a beautiful business. So you can't really like give in to say this is largely dominated by women or largely dominated by men. I think they both work to make the real estate a place that everyone wants to strive in.
Great stuff. Sandra, I really have to quickly ask, I know we're running out of time. For something that worries a lot of people in this business is scams. People who will pay for land, and the land ends up belonging to somebody else, or the person who sold the land is a scam artist, collects money, runs away. How do people, for those who are listening, avoid being scammed when buying land or whatever? How do you make sure you're buying from a reputable person or business?
People that are usually scared, number one, are people that want to invest by themselves. Most people want to do this real estate, they want to invest in real estate, but they want to do it by themselves because they don't want to pay this extra charge. But I would always advise you, always work with a real estate specification, like a real estate person. Always work with a real estate practitioner, work with if you're working with a real estate practitioner, doesn't mean that you shouldn't work with a legal practitioner. First of all, you work with the real estate practitioner because they have knowledge about what the real estate is saying. That's where they breathe, that's where they eat, that's what they do on a daily basis. So they'll give better information about what you're about to venture into. And when you're having you're not sure of what you're getting into, because sometimes most of the real estate, the realtors, they don't give you the right advice because they just want you to invest in this particular property for the money, right? That is when you bring in your legal practitioner to help you, to advise you to do the search on the land. Most people just tell you this land is blah, 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 and next thing you're making payments. No, you have to do your own due diligence. You have to go search for the land. You have to go ask questions. You have to go inspect this land yourself. Even when you're going with your realtor, sometimes go by yourself to go inspect this land. And when you go inspect this land, you ask the neighbors, you get to find out the people, the client that has already keyed into that particular property. I think your due diligence is majorly the key to this question, because if you don't do it, you fall into the scammers, into this real estate people. So I think your due diligence, work with a legal practitioner, work with a real estate. Forget about the charges, because most times when you fall into this, you tend to lose more money than the little money, the little charge you would have just paid for these services. So
Gotcha. Well said. All right. That works. That's good advice there.
Okay, I've still got a little bit of time. Now, next question I want to ask is about this. So you are into land, developed properties, and short lets. Which is the most profitable of the three? There are many ears open wide for this, Sandra. So which is the most profitable of the three, and what advantages do the others have?
Okay, first of all, I will always advise anybody that's going into real estate to find your niche. Forget about the commission now. Forget about which one is more profitable. The one that is more profitable might not be where you have your strength in. That's number one. Number two, because real estate is based on commission, and the commission is based on the price of that particular property. Like, for example, if I'm closing a land in a Banana Island, I'm doing for like $20 million or thereabouts, and you know what the percentage is on that land, and I'm selling a Lekki 5-bedroom duplex in Lekki phase 1, you know what the percentage is on that land. So you can't really say, okay, this is more, because sometimes you can stay, if not like, okay, starters, since we're talking to starters, you can take time before selling, and you're getting your profit from Airbnb, short lets, renters. At that time, you're being satisfied, your nerve is being calmed by those not so little, but those soothing money, and before you close your big deals. So I would say you can't really say, because it's based on percentage, it's based on commission, but the higher the price, the higher the commission, and it suits our nerves whenever it comes into our bank account. So you can't really say. Just find your niche, focus on it, and you will always see your return in whatever you're doing.
All right. So we have about a minute before the show ends, and I'm sorry, gentlemen, I'm gonna take over this minute because I have a very important burning question to ask Sandra. So, Sandra, I just wanted to find out: is it in realtor school that they teach this thing? I want to find out where it comes from, and does it have a gender? Let's just find out. And that is the issue of budget. You know how the clients will say, "I have this budget for a property." I have noticed that there's a trend in which the realtor comes back with something that is probably double or triple that budget. Do they teach that in the school? Is it the men? Is it the women? Where did it come from?
Okay, I really can't answer that question because I don't practice it. But what I would say
But you have
is,
seen it.
yes, I've heard about it. I've witnessed it. What I would say is just the bad regulation. If only we have a good regulation in Nigeria that, like, you know, regulate these prices. You know, you can complain when things like this comes up. That alone wouldn't want, and that alone, the scam that wouldn't allow anybody to do that to their client. That's number one. Number two, sometimes these clients, they believe that when they give a particular budget, that sometimes they have this money, but they just give a ridiculous budget, I feel, and that makes these people, I don't know, okay, this question right is quite hard because what I'm saying is maybe they have the budget, but they don't want to pay, but maybe when they go on for inspection, because I've had some clients that they will tell me a particular budget and you're taking them to their budget. They don't want to buy that house. They'll tell you this is not what I want. It is not good enough.
It's not to their standard.
Yes, it's not up to their standard. And when you take them to something else that is way above their budget, they fall in love with it. But at the same time, they don't have the money for that. While some, they do have the money for it. And when you take them there, they'll be like, okay, this is what I love. I'll pay for it. It's a yes for me. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. But aside that, I really don't know where that question is coming from, except for running into scammers.
Basically, what you're trying to tell me is that real estate agents believe in true love. If we just let you meet the love of your life, you will find the money for it. Is what I'm hearing here.
Yes. Except you're
romantic. Still lots of
scammers that want to rip you of your money, except scammers, the untruthful realtor. But from where I stand, only give love, we only give you the value for your money, and yeah, that's it.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Sandra. And on that note, we've come to the end of a business hub on the Smooth Drive. Thank you so much, Sandra Anthony. She's a realtor and she's been, letting us into the world of real estate, either whether as a 9 to 5 or you just go solo and do your thing. And also, thank you so much, Rotus, for joining us as always.
Thank you.
This hub makes
return. Thank you so much, Rotus. I prepare for the great one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. See you tomorrow, Rotus, for personal finance.
All right, bye.
All right, yeah, that's the end of Business Hub, brought to you by Lotus Bank. There'll be more great music for you on the Smooth Drive, and
we need to do your 505 messages.
Yes, we do. We'll do that on the other side of this break.
Business Hub.
Yeah, because 6 o'clock we have something.
Until it comes. In case Fatima is listening. Man, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you've been in the game long enough for here, so.
See, with Fatima, it's different.
The town hall?
Oh, we're still streaming. Oh, no,